Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and today I want to talk to you guys a little bit about why things like concurrent style training or daily undulating periodization are fantastic. They are amazing for advanced lifters. They are not what you should be doing as a novice, and in many cases even an early intermediate. And a lot of people will look at that and go, well, that doesn't make sense to me. You do a concurrent training style right now? Yeah, I do. I train 4 days a week. With a concurrent style training, meaning I do volume triples and then I do nearly max triples on separate days. So yeah, I have 2 lighter days for volume and 2 heavier days every week. That's how I train. And I'm actually making slow linear progress doing this right now. Like my lifts go up every single week. Now, not necessarily a lot. I use microplates to make them go up. And a lot of people out there talk about this. Eric Helms pushes this stuff. A lot of people out there use these things successfully, but what you need to remember is that these are advanced lifters. These are advanced lifters. These are people who already have our base built. And the difference is if you are truly a novice lifter, and that's not a bad thing. When you tell people that they're a novice, they take it as an insult because someone might have been lifting weights for 2 or 3 years. But here's the question I would ask you. How many reps do you deadlift 400 pounds for? How many reps can you do 300 pounds on a squat? How many times can you rep 200 pounds on a pause bench? And if you're sitting there going, well, I can't do any of those for reps, then you're a novice lifter, guys. Unless you're a woman, in which case you're an advanced lifter. You're doing pretty solid at that point. But if you're a guy and your reps on deadlifts are under 400 pounds, or squats, 300 pounds for anything under 300 pounds for 5 reps. You are not an advanced lifter. You can still make really fast progress, but that's a good thing because here's the thing. That means that if you were to go on a proper program, you would actually make really, really, really good gains for the next 3 months. In fact, if you ran a linear program, you would probably make better gains in the next 3 months than if you run some sort of concurrent training for the next year straight, right? You'll make better gains in that 3 months than you would in an entire year on a concurrent system. And the question I would ask you is that if you actually want to make gains, why wouldn't you use the sort of training that's going to allow you to make the best possible gains that you can make this year or in this part of the year? Why wouldn't you do that? It makes sense to, right? If you're serious and that's what you're going to do. And people need to step back and say, okay, you're right. I am still a novice or I am an early intermediate. And if that's the case, then you don't need an advanced program, because what you guys need to remember, the reason these advanced programs like this to where you are undulating intensities and volumes day to day is because once you are advanced, it is very, very difficult to recover from your minimum effective volume. Meaning with any given training system or type of workload, you have the ability to out-train your recovery, right? You have the ability to out-train your recovery. In other words, my volume squat day where I come in and I do 7 triples on pause squats, and then I do power cleans behind it, usually do 3 to 5 sets of power cleans afterwards. That volume day, I can't replicate that in 48 hours. I can generate enough tonnage, and I'm using myself as an example, that if I were to come back and try to replicate that same workout in 48 hours, I might not finish the last set. I'd probably get the first 6 sets. I might not complete the last set. Well, then I've just had a workout where I've regressed. Whereas when you start rotating things like closer to maximum effort with volume, they have a different recovery curve, but they also use slightly different energy systems in the sense that you can have some metabolic fatigue from the volume work, and even if that metabolic fatigue is still on the edge of recovering, you could come in and hit some nearly maximum lifts as long as the volume is low. And vice versa. My peripheral nervous system, like when I squat on, say, this week I squatted heavy on Sunday and then deadlifted heavy on Sunday. And then Wednesday, 3 days later, I came in and I did my volume triples. Well, I was able to add 2.5 pounds to my volume triples over what I did last week. Why? Even though I also PR'd on my 3 rep max. I PR'd on that this week too. The reason I was able to do that is because I had recovered after a week from the metabolic fatigue of the last week's squats. And then this week I was able to come in and PR for the heavier set because I had recovered from that. And even though my peripheral nervous system might have been slightly fatigued from the heavy squats and deadlifts, it didn't interfere with my work capacity. It probably only interfered with my ability to hit a really, really heavy peak set or to hit a max. My work capacity had recovered since the week ago where I did that volume before, so therefore I was able to actually improve upon it. And so because we are able to tax certain recovery systems in the body on certain body parts and our nervous system and all these other things, we're able to tax them as we get stronger in such a way that it might take up to a week to recover. You don't want to wait an entire week to train the same muscle group or body part again. That is not ideal for growth unless you are blasting a lot of drugs, which I'm not doing, and I assume most of you aren't doing either. So the problem you have is that you can't train often enough to stimulate fast progress as an advanced lifter if you are training the same sort of intensities and workloads every single time you're in the gym. So these sort of systems exist because it allows you to take advantage of this and train more frequently. In other words, if I were to come in and train for volume, I could probably only do about 3 workouts a week. If I were to come in and only train for intensity, I could probably only do about 3 workouts a week. But because I'm undulating them using a concurrent style of training, I'm able to train 4 days a week. I'm able to get in one more training session so that I accumulate more workload and accumulate more adaptation. A novice lifter is capable of adding weight to the bar almost every single time they come to the gym, or at least progressing in some way. Even as you get a little more advanced, you can usually add volume or reps, but usually weight, which is really your ideal scenario. You can do that every single time you come to the gym. Every single time you come to the gym. And if you're capable of making that sort of linear progress, adapting to it and recovering from it and doing it again every 2 or 3 days, that's your ideal situation. And the problem is that when you go into some sort of concurrent training, you are losing the advantage that a novice has. A novice can literally sleep and eat their way with minimal, in some cases almost no fat gain. They can eat and sleep their way to making gains every 2 to 3 days. They will grow, they will get bigger, they will get stronger every 2 to 3 days, come into the gym and hit better numbers every single time for months on end. And if you're coming in rotating through training styles, you're not taking advantage of that. In other words, if you come in and you use an advanced style of programming and you're still capable of novice gains or new gains, what do you think's going to happen? You're going to make advanced gains, or maybe intermediate gains, because a novice lifter, someone still capable of making some new gains, someone still capable of linear progression, will still probably progress faster than an advanced lifter on an advanced program, but they're going to gain a lot less muscle and strength than they would if they had run a proper novice program. They might only gain a half or a third of what they could have gained. And that's the problem with this. And people need to understand that we don't use concurrent style training or even block periodization because it's better. We use it because sometimes it's the only way to make any gains when you get more advanced. In other words, an advanced lifter who tries to run a straight linear program will stall, and they'll get stuck, and they might go 6 months without gaining anything, because they need so much workload to create new adaptation that they don't recover from it soon enough to replicate it again in a timely manner to stimulate the muscle growth at any sort of ideal rate. So in other words, an advanced lifter who pushes hard enough and tries to do the same thing every time isn't going to be able to train often enough to make real progress. They'll sometimes detrain in between, and that's why they either run 3-week blocks in some sort of block periodization, so block training, or they use some sort of concurrent training that allows them to train different systems and different recovery systems from day to day throughout the week. A novice lifter doesn't have to do that, so if they do that, they're going to make slower progress by default. It's not in your advantage to do that. Alright guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.